Hello everybody, welcome to Farscape Rewatch, episode number 21. Yeah, it's episode 21, and I am Carmel Hats, and joining me as always is Red Nightmare.
Hey, I'm happy to see everyone.
Yes, you're all looking great tonight, especially you, in the tie.
Yes.
Thank you all for coming out.
I like those pants.
At this recorded as live, in front of a live studio audience. This is not true, that's all lies.
Man, that would be cool, live studio audience.
That'd be
I
cool
feel that's an aspirational goal for some point.
Cool / terrifying.
As long as there's a big audience, I'm fine.
Well, today, anyway, we'll be talking about the episode Bone to be Wild, which, as we said, is number 21, and is the penultimate episode of Season 1. We're almost done.
We're almost there.
Almost a quarter of the way through.
We've been doing this for at least 4 months now.
Almost.
Close
yeah.
to 5.
And we hope you've been enjoying it, and we hope you enjoy this episode, because there's a lot going on in this one.
I really like this episode, actually.
Okay, we'll talk about it. I did like it, but maybe not quite as much. We'll see.
No.
Alright, so why don't we start off? So, if you remember previously, the crew of Moya had managed to escape from the Gammak base, but hot on their heels are Krace and Scorpius.
In the Peacekeeper Command Carrier. It's like a buddy cop movie, but with a really big car.
Yeah, and less of the buddy. We start off with a shot of the crew inside Moya, who are huddling around in blankets, and they're all very cold, because Moya is being scanned by Krace's command carrier while they're hiding in an asteroid field, and they've turned all the power off so that the energy signature doesn't get picked up by the scan.
Yeah, but that does mean that Moya is incredibly cold on the inside.
Yeah, you know. So the scan manages to pass by Moya and her offspring. If you remember, the offspring was born last episode.
I mean, I hadn't realized how tiny the kid was until the start of this episode, where you see a shot of them, and it's so tiny compared to Moya.
Compared to Moya, though, it's still pretty big because it's still a spaceship. But yeah, Moya is massive. It's kind of like you might see a shot of a baby whale next to its mum. It's very kind of
smaller in this case, I think.
Yeah, that you do have a shot of the two of them from outside, and it would kind of reminded me of that sort of thing from nature documentaries and stuff. But while they're hiding, they actually get a distress call.
Which the situation, the irony is not lost on Chiana and Crichton.
Yeah, actually, so they listen to the distress call, and it's from an alien who's living in one of the asteroids, and says that she's under attack from an unseen creature, and it cuts off as she starts screaming, and they're like, "Oh, distress call." I think it's John, and yeah, like you said, John Chiana's like they send a distress call to us, and they just start cracking up about it. It's like, oh man, of all the people to send a distress call to,
I think they're in enough distress as it is.
Yeah. And I think, that's roughly when we get the titles, where it's like a distress call to us.
Yeah. Actually, interesting point in the title. Gigi Edsley is now finally as a full character in the full actress in the title.
Finally, we get
Tiana.
Yeah, we get shots of we get her name, get Gigi Edgley, and pictures of Chiana. It's like, yes, she's part of the full crew now, properly.
Yeah.
Not just a guest star or something. Yeah, Nice. Alright, so that's cool. But then we come back and we see that Krace is unhappy that Moya's not been found, of course. But what he wants to do is he wants to go into the asteroid field to go and get them. And Scorpius doesn't think this is a good idea.
No. Because Scorpius, actually, I mean, what he proposes is basically sending a bunch of signals into the asteroid field that'll irritate the baby so much that he'll reveal himself.
Yeah.
Which I like the plan, actually. That's a good plan.
So yeah, Scorpius is being very calculating about this whole thing, and I love the interaction between the two of them. Scorpius kind of stalks a bit and is just very predatory and actually kind of quiet, and is just like, maybe we should try this, and it's really good.
Krace doesn't want any of it.
No, Krace...
He's acting up because it is a good idea and it's probably better than what he's planning, but because it's Scorpius' idea...
Yeah. It's not what he wants to do.
Yeah. And I want to do my thing.
This is my command. But yeah, he's not happy with Scorpius trying to undermine him.
Also, how did they know Moya had a baby?
Scorpius has been poking around in John's mind, remember?
Yes, but at that time, the baby wasn't born yet.
Well, they knew it was...
I don't know if it was having contractions at that point. I don't think it was.
I don't know, maybe they picked them up on the scanners, but I think...
they might have actually found... Yeah, okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
But the impression they got from the episodes, at least, was that it's from poking around in John's brain.
True.
But Crace says, no, my orders stand, and we have to go change position. I'm not going to do what you say, Scorpius. Screw you, buddy, basically.
Yeah.
And Crace he's actually looking a bit disheveled. His hair's a bit rough. He's looking a bit kind of... he might be at the end of his rag here, because he was, tortured in the last episode.
Yeah, and Aaron didn't really leave him that great.
No, he's kind of slowly been losing it over the course of the series anyway.
True.
Meanwhile, back with the crew of Moya, we see that Zan, Dargo, and Crichton have gone down to the asteroid, which is full of plants.
Yes.
It's just like a forest, a literal forest in there, in that it was literally filmed in a forest.
Yeah.
In what looks to be the same forest from Thrown for a Loss.
I
Some
think
of the
this one
foliage
is
looks the same.
a bit thicker.
Maybe it's a bit deeper into that.
Oh, that might. Yeah.
Listen, if there's anything I know from watching old episodes of Doctor Who, it's that if you have a good location, you end up reusing it all the time. It's like, this is where we go for foresty shots.
Fair enough.
So they're wandering around down there. Dargo's not having a good time.
No. He's
really bad time.
His allergies are acting up, to put it mildly.
He's allergic to everything.
Yeah. I like that at some point they hear something rustling, and then Zan asks Dargo, "Did anybody hear that? Dargo, can you pick up any scents?" And he's like, "Let me explain what's happening in my nose right now. There's a thick line of green liquid mucus covering my nose." And John interrupts him like, Okay, thanks, Dargo. We don't need to hear that. Cut the Luxon poetry.
I love that, because it's actually Dargo being... He's not even being, like, the comically serious about it. He's like, no, okay, listen. Let me explain to you what is going on up here.
Oh, he's really being like, seriously? You're asking me that now?
I love that little bit of character from Dargo there. But then they hear some screams, and they encounter what looks to be there's a beast attacking the female who contacted them earlier, and they scare the beast off. And the female reveals herself, and she's called Millie, or Millie. It's spelt on the DVDs and the synopsis M''Lee, Millie. Yes. And she's actually an interesting character design. She's got like head to toe prosthetics.
It looks like she's covered in chitinous plating, maybe?
Yeah, it's pale coloured, and she's got sort of bubbly bits around the side of round the top of her head that look like bulbous parts that are glowing blue.
That's what I was just looking for.
Yeah, they're glowing blue, and they have like a spine on one end, and she has like big, what look to be bones or spines of some kind coming out the back of her head. Yeah. It's a really it's much more than just like I've got a funny shaped ear or a wrinkly forehead.
This is really cool costume.
Fun fact, here's a bit of behind the scenes. You know who plays Millie? It's played by Francesca Buller, who is Ben Browder's wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
So there you go. That's actually Ben Browder's wife, and
then Ben Browder has a very good actress as a wife.
Indeed, he does.
I really like her acting in this.
I think they actually met when they were at acting school, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he met Francesca Buller while he was studying at the Central School of Speech and Drama in London. So there you go. They met at acting school. Nice. So yeah, that's just a cute little bit of behind the scenes there. But anyway, Millie does not want to be left alone, and she's very scared of the monster, and she's actually kind of pleading with them to take her with them. Mm-hmm. Laying it on pretty thick. And so they go back to the transport pod, but the beast is lying in wait there, and the beast is actually kind of a weird looking it's very large and kind of hunched back, but with covered in what looks to be hair and vines and matted bits and pieces.
It has hair, and it seems to have a mutated face.
Yeah,
almost.
It's got like a mouth with fangs in it that it gets wider on one side.
Yeah, and it has mushrooms growing out of its head, fungi on the side of its head.
Yeah, John makes this comparison later, but if anyone is familiar with Swamp Thing from
Yeah,
comic books,
that's actually a very good description.
Yeah, it's basically like that. And so it attacks them, and it injures Dargo pretty heavily.
Yeah, and
really bad.
They have a firefight in the shuttle, which surprisingly breaks parts of the ship down so they can't take off easily. And as you said, Dargo is heavily injured.
In fact, he figures there's internal bleeding.
And then he coughs up blood.
He's like, oh, great.
There's definitely internal bleeding.
Yep. And like, we'll get out of here, we'll get you back. And it's like, no, you shot this part and I shot this part, so we're not going anywhere. I do like that they don't like resort to like blaming each other for why they can't leave. It's like, no, I shot this fuel line, you shot that coolant thing.
Yeah. We both made mistakes.
Yeah. And we cut back to Moya with Pilot, who is confiding in Aaron, actually. Mm-hmm. And he says that he's basically gets to her over the comms and says, I need to talk to you, and I can only tell you this because you're the only one I feel I can trust.
Yeah,
and
because we know they have quite a connection, those two.
Yeah, they do. And he tells her that Moya is actually having problems communicating with her offspring, and there's tension between them. He then explains to Aaron that the offspring is basically a hybrid of Peacekeeper warship and Leviathan.
Yeah, and Aaron points out, like, we've all seen the weapons. That wasn't really new news. But then he goes on to mention that, well, the kid also doesn't really know what to make of it, and neither does the mother. And they don't really know anything about the warship part, which makes it really hard for Moya to, communicate with it in a sense, because they experience life differently, I guess.
Yeah, and so he's asking Aaron to go over and kind of try and bridge that gap with her experience as a peacekeeper.
Mm-hmm. And I like how Pilot says, Moya has given you permission to go aboard. And Aaron says, that's fine, but has the child also given permission? Because this is a thread I like. She actually treats the child as an individual. Yeah,
and is concerned with how it feels, or how he feels, because they do refer to it as as
they
male.
already know it's a boy.
Yeah, they know it's a boy, so they say how does he feel about it, and treating it seriously, basically. And so Aaron goes aboard and is just kind of amazed by how well meshed the Peacekeeper and Leviathan technology is. It doesn't look like a mishmash. It actually flows together really well.
Yeah, I'm impressed they were able to grow tactical radar screens on the windows. Like, wow.
And the set as well is pretty cool, because it's much smaller, obviously, than Moya. And you see this is like the command area, and there's a large round area in the middle, and off that there are various consoles with large lights on them and stuff like that, and there's a sort of like a ring coming down from the ceiling, and it's all lit in red.
Yeah,
very Peacekeeper.
Exactly. But it also has, especially the choice of lights that line the console, having red but also hints of white and yellow, which reference back to Moya, who is mostly yellow, darkish yellow.
Yeah.
And you can also see ridges near the windscreen that are clearly Leviathan.
Yeah, and we also get a nice shot of Aaron walks into the command area of the ship, and it pans back through there and then out through the window. And that's when we see the scale of the child, which is it's actually still pretty large. It's kind of like I don't know what you would compare it to, but it's like a medium-sized spaceship, and then next to Moya is just huge.
Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as a fighter. I would probably describe it as maybe a frigate or something.
Yeah.
You could probably house like 4 people in there, be a bit cramped.
Yeah, exactly.
With living quarters and everything, but it would be doable.
And so Pilot suggests that Aaron should turn off the comm because the Peacekeepers may use it to find them. And Aaron actually finds it really quickly because the right panels light up, and
yeah, whenever she comes in, she's like, I could use some light, and a light starts blinking. He presses it, and the lights go on. And then later, after a conversation with Pilot, she says, "Yo, I'll go look for the comms." Another light starts blinking. Huh. And then comms are powered down.
Yeah. She actually just starts talking to the offspring, says, I think she has a great scene where she kind of kneels down, or like squats down on the floor, because there are lights coming on the floor, and like there is a series of 4 lights around the circle, and says hello, and she actually says hello, and then the light's going to light up in response.
It's like a Simon Says game.
Yeah,
the
it's a bit like
the way
that.
that it sounds and it lights. Like, boop, 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 boop.
It's actually really quite cool. It's quite sweet as well, because she's just like, she's got a big smile on her face as well.
Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, hello. You understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. And we leave there for now, and we go back to Scorpius and Crace. Crace comes into his quarters.
Yeah, and Scorpius is there sitting in what I would describe as Crace's throne.
It basically is. It's at the end of a reasonably long passageway that's also quite wide, and above it is a large... I can't quite make out what it is, but it looks to either be like a tooth or a claw or some...
I was unable to see it either.
Some kind of memorial, or memento, actually, some kind of memento. And Scorpius is looking around, and he's commenting on how it's a very opulent set of quarters, even for a captain.
Yeah, he doesn't understand why captains would have giant... keep things from their past victories, from times when they felt powerful. Like,
yeah.
when they... past phrasing, felt powerful. I like that.
There's actually a great long take here that I really love, and it's that Scorpius talking to Crace, and he gets... And you've got a long shot of Crace at one end and Scorpius at the other end in Crace's chair, and he gets up and walks down the length of the quarters to Crace without cutting between the two of them. And I like that kind of slow walk as he approaches Crace, reminding him of all his failures.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he's threatening to take over the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't... It's quite clear that he doesn't believe that Crace is fit to command. He doesn't think much of him.
No, and given what he knows about Crace, I can understand why.
Yeah. That's the thing about Scorpius, is that so far... I mean, he's a coldly kind of logical person, in that he doesn't seem to be doing anything for personal reasons. It's all, he's contrasting to Crace, who has been on a personal vendetta this whole time and has, turned away from responsibility because of it.
Yeah, Crace is more the emotion, where Scorpius is more the duty at this point. That's the contrast that we have here.
And it's really good. I love all the scenes in this episode between Scorpius and Crace. Yes. They're really strong. But that's what we see so far. And so back to the asteroid, because we've got three lines here. We've got Scorpius and Crace, we've got Dargo, Crichton, and Zan on the asteroid, and we've got Aaron and the Offspring. Yeah. And
I like how they weave in and out of each other.
Yeah. A few of them do that better than others. We'll talk about this when we get to the end, but I felt that a couple of times it felt just like there was a little bit too much going on. But right now we're back with the asteroid, and Zan is trying to heal Dargo, but she needs more substances. Because the plants, she's actually been really impressed with the plant life there, and is finding these amazing roots and leaves and things that she's able to use to help Dargo, but she can't quite heal all his wounds.
No. She's doing the best she can with what she has, and there's a lot available, but with the creature outside, it's not that easy to grab what they need.
Yeah. And so John's off to go get some, and then Malie starts sniffing about, and then she actually sniffs Zan. She says, "Your scent is different. You smell that like the outside."
Yeah.
And that's when Zan says, "You're right, I'm also Flora." And John's like, "Yeah, right. Yeah, you're a...
Wait, seriously?"
Yeah, turns out Zan's a plant.
My God, how many times we've had to cut that out of an episode because Hat spoiled that.
I may have done a couple of times. Yeah, that's one of the things that I forgot that they actually had as a reveal. And I was like, don't we just know that? It's like, oh no, wait, no, that actually comes up in this episode.
I'm glad you remembered that, because otherwise I would have just brushed over it thinking we already had revealed it. But but this is the one where we actually get to reveal it. And I do like that John, because Zan's like, "Is that a problem?" John's like, "No. You're a vegetable?" He doesn't really... On one hand, he doesn't really care. He's just astonished.
Yeah, it's blowing his mind.
Yeah.
But no, he doesn't have a problem with it. He's just, what?
That's a thing?
And then I like Dargo's like, come on, man, everyone knows Delvians are flora evolved. It's like, I'm new here.
I was going to say, Dargo, I thought you would have figured out by now that that's not something he knows. To be fair, Dargo isn't in a lot of pain, so I'll cut him some slack there.
Yeah, okay. And you know,
Sam, by the way, finds this hilarious.
Yes.
The fact that he's how John is responding to this. She's taking it all in good nature.
Well, because she didn't. It wasn't something she was trying to keep from John, so it's like, oh, you didn't know? Oh, right, sorry. And she points out she doesn't. She has fibers instead of bones, and the highlights on her face are for absorbing water and stuff.
Oh, that's what it was for. But I didn't figure why her skin is blue.
Well, they do actually have a bit. They go outside to go look for some stuff, and they have a conversation between John and Zan.
And he asks Blue, and she gives apparently a logical explanation, but I couldn't parse it.
Well, she says it's because of chloroplast pigmentation, chlorophyll, which lets you do
photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis, yeah.
Which are green.
Which is typically green, yes, I'll grant you, but I guess, I don't know, it's some kind of different combination of things.
Actually, there are, as far as I could tell from a quick Wikipedia search, there are some forms of photoreceptors that are blue.
There you go.
They use blue in some way. I might be off base here. I didn't have time to completely research it, but...
You know, close enough. For sci-fi, you know, that's
I'm okay
pretty
with that.
Good. Yeah. And I do like the bits where John is figuring out some things about... that make more sense now that he knows that Zan's a plant, and he's actually saying, oh, that's why you like the light so much.
Yeah.
And they actually share like a laugh about that. It's like, yeah, photosynthesis.
Till the blood runs clear, that's where she had her...
Photogasm.
Yeah. God, that was an actual name.
That's what she said.
I know.
Literally, that's what she said. Zan called it that. That's what she said. But so they're out looking for the medicinal plants, but Malie detects that the creature is coming, and so she runs off after her, and she runs off after it, and Crichton runs after her. But when the creature comes, finds Zan, who pulls a trick that we've not seen her do before, and she makes herself invisible, like the fucking Predator.
I was like, wait, how? Well, there is one precedent to it, and that's in Till the Blood Runs Clear, where she masks her scent.
Yeah, but it's...
So apparently she can do the same for light?
I guess...
I really hope this is not a trick we never see her do again, ever.
I'm worried that it is.
I am as well. I mean, can she only do it in a high concentration of plants?
Maybe. I think maybe she can camouflage herself against the other plants, maybe, but they just make it look like she turns invisible.
Yeah.
Like, she activates her cloaking device, or whatever it is.
You start making clicking noises, the creature has red light on its forehead.
Well,
Some of these things may not actually be true.
Although, wait a minute, a few, half a season ago, she leveled up, remember? Maybe she got access to a new spell.
Oh, yeah. Invisibility. That might be a thing.
Disguise self? Is that a thing? Close enough?
Yeah, but I think she'd already be able to do that at level 8.
Oh.
Anyway.
But there's a bit where, like, she's kind of camouflaged and it's walking away, and then she kind of uncamouflages her eyes a bit.
Yeah.
It just sees her and grabs her.
Like,
it's like,
why did you do that?
Yeah. But John has run back to the transport pod, and Dargo's upset. He's like, why did you let Zan get captured? But Malie reveals she won't be eaten, but she'll be taken to the beast's hunting ground and then killed.
I do like that when Dargo says, hey, why did you let her get taken? He's like, instinct, Dargo. That's something you should know about. It's the only damn thing you use. I'm like, oh, sick burn!
Oh, snap. Dargo, to his credit, doesn't actually have a response to that.
No.
He's just like,
Yeah, fair.
So John and Malie have gone off to try and rescue Zan, but Malie's getting hungry.
Yeah.
Hunger strikes. She's getting really, really hungry. Like, she's hammering this up quite a lot.
And I love what happens next, because it turns out that costume of hers...
It's not just static, yeah. So you've got the bulbous parts around her head.
That go from glowing blue to glowing red.
and there are spines on her shoulders, and at the end of the bulbous part around her head, and up her arms as well. And then there's a big set of spines on her back.
Actually, more like a frill.
Yeah, they all come up, and the bones in the back of her head start poking out even more. And
Yeah,
I think her teeth get pointier.
Yes, she actually gets spiky teeth. Her spikes over her whole body actually pop out.
Yeah,
And this is all happening in real time, so it's actually part of the costume. That
yeah,
it
it's
can
functional.
Do that.
It's not. Yeah, it's not special effects. It's well, it is special effects, but it's not like CGI'd. It's
I'm pretty sure that the spikes coming out of her head probably are two different ones, but still.
No, I mean that would be in a close-up because you'd be poking them through from the other side where her face would be.
That's probably best.
And yeah, it does actually look really good. It's a really solid effect, and she looks totally different when it finishes. But then she attacks John, and the creature appears and then knocks down John, and then Millie runs away.
Mm-hmm.
And then the beast...
The creature actually grabs his John's pistol and shoots after it.
Yeah, and then points the pistol at John's head and says in a kind of slurred voice like, "I'm not your enemy."
She is.
She's your enemy.
He's clearly tired.
Yeah.
He's like...
He's exhausted. So, alright, it looks like they were lured here under false pretenses. But we'll find out more about that later, because meanwhile we cut back again to Crace and Scorpius. And Scorpius is antagonizing him even further, having actually gone behind his back and counteracted Crace's orders with what Scorpius planned to do all along.
Yes.
So, yeah, Crace very unhappy, and he also says, "Why are you doing this? No reason to do this. If my command was under question, then I would have been recalled."
And Scorpius responds, "You were recalled. Remember?
Yeah, are you forgetting?
I saw your memories.
I see into your mind."
I know what you did. So yes, I do think your command is faulty and should be questioned.
Yeah. Oh. And again, we have another cut back to the planet now. This is what I mean when I say like there's a lot going on, because we're going between several things at once here. But so we go back to the planet, or to the asteroid rather, and we find that the creature is named Bernie. Bernie? It's Bernie. It's Bernie. It's Bernie.
It's Bernie.
It's literally, it's Bernie.
Okay, I had to ask you, is the actor playing Bernie British?
Not really. Not particularly.
It sounds very posh, in a way.
Not really. It's kind of like, it's heavily asthmatic. It's what it sounds like.
Fair.
And he's like, "I'm a botanist. I've been doing botany." It's basically like that.
Yeah, that's a very good description of what his voice sounds like.
And he finds the atmosphere very thin, so that's why he was out of breath.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he didn't say anything and attacked John, apparently. And earlier in the transport pod, he was apparently trying to warn them about Millie, who is a calcivore.
Yes.
She feeds on bone. And
Okay.
You know, get your calcium. It's good for you.
Your calcium.
And she would have eaten John. And apparently, it turns out that Bernie was a botanist who led the team to the asteroid to study all the flora inside of it. But then Millie killed his team.
Yeah, basically his entire team, including his mate.
Yes, that's the important thing.
That he gets angry about it.
He gets very upset.
Slamming some pots or something.
Yep. John actually is like, "How many of your people did she kill?" And then he gets upset. It's like, "Right, okay, sorry, forget I asked. Bad, touchy subject.
Everybody's dead. Never mind."
Okay, that's okay. And now again we go back to Aaron on Moya's offspring, and the peacekeepers are scanning them again. Mm-hmm. And so Erin has to reduce the energy signature of the offspring, but it's not letting her.
Yeah.
It's not listening to what she's telling it to do. And so what she does is actually she talks to it. And so, okay, you were made by the peacekeepers, but...
in some perverse way.
Yeah.
They're a part of you.
But that's also true of me as well. Mm-hmm. Or also true of Erin.
I like that parallel that she pulls. Like, look, I had the same thing, and she doesn't really say I broke away from it, but she does say like I partially understand how you feel, And she says, you need to make a decision if you trust your mother, if you trust us. And I like, again, she's treating him like an individual. Like, this is a decision you need to make.
Yep.
For yourself, if you want to be part of this or not.
Yeah, and so the offspring then does actually reduce power, powers down, and makes a decision to trust Moya and Moya's crew.
Yeah.
So there we go. So they managed to evade the Peacekeeper scan.
Oof.
Just in time. And back with Bernie, he's making some of the plant that Zan needs to heal Dargo, and which he uses a machine that creates a huge plant from a tiny sample.
Yeah. So basically what this does is he can apparently take a plant and miniaturize it with that machine, and then put it in a pot, and then set it away, and whenever they need it, so in this case she needs specific seeds, which he couldn't find in the forest outside. He has a sample, so he just puts the tiny one in the machine, replicates the entire giant one, just resizes it into the entire giant one again.
Oh, and in case we didn't mention, like we said earlier, Zan was taken by the monster, which of course was Bernice, so she's here and she's fine.
Yeah, sorry, that's actually something we
kind of skipped
mention.
over that.
Kind of, sorry. Whoops.
Oopsie. But she's very impressed by this thing. It's like,
oh, you can cut this into the earlier scene, and Zan is also there.
And Zan was here. But she's very impressed by that, and she's really loving all of the botany and the study and all of the equipment that Bernie has. John is slightly less impressed because I love this. He's looking at the deminiaturizer or whatever it is, and he says like, "Wow, that is really impressive. My aunt had one. Let's go."
Yeah. He's kind of like, "Come on, can we go?"
Yeah, I like that he's kind of getting, I guess, a little bit desensitized to the amazing technology, space kind of things. He's like, okay, we have more important things to do right now.
I think that's mostly it. It's like, Dargo's out there with a calcifer running loose. He doesn't know she's dangerous. Let's move.
So yeah, Bunny and Zan go off to heal Dargo and leave John to protect the lab.
Yeah, and John's like, hell no, I'm not going to let you go with Zan on your own.
Yeah, because he still doesn't. I don't think he still trusts Bernie properly. No. But when they've gone, Millie returns, and she wants to talk to John, and she's trying to. Her hunger is really kind of taking over, and she's trying to fight back to talk to John.
Because she reveals something we didn't, that Bernie wasn't telling. Because she was listening the whole time before.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Bernie didn't mention is the fact that her ancestors were brought here by Bernie's species to wipe out all the herbivores.
They were eating the plants because they wanted to study the plants.
So they wanted a completely free environment of any predator, any species that would eat plants, which is a brilliant idea. But I don't know if it works.
I mean, that's a major upset to the local ecology, and that's not good, right?
No. The other point is that usually these things work with feedback loops. So say we take wolves and rabbits. Say you have a lot of rabbits and a few wolves. Mm-hmm. There's an overabundance of food now, so the wolf population can easily grow. Because they can easily find rabbits, they can easily support their young. So the population of wolves goes up. More wolves eat more rabbits, the population of rabbits goes down, meaning that less wolves get food, wolves go down, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. Up and down, which would technically mean this would turn into a stable ecosystem. I think the only reason it doesn't do that, and it does wipe out the entire herbivore population, is because the calcivores are sentient, so they're able to organize.
Yeah. I mean, it's also something when you put a foreign predator that the prey has no defense against.
Yes,
like
good point.
You just have to look at somewhere like Australia where that happens.
Yeah.
Has happened a lot, and there's a big problem.
That's actually a good, way better point.
And so that's what they did on purpose to get rid of all the herbivores. But then John's like, well, hang on a minute. Once you killed off all the herbivores, you turned on Bernice people, then who was left? And he's like...
But actually, Bernice people left.
They left.
People, their plan was to have these calcivores running around, basically wipe out the entire herbivore population, then die out of starvation.
Yeah.
So John's like, wait, then how are you still here?
And she says, after all of that, all we had left was each other.
Yeah, she ate her family.
And that's how she survived that long. And so she's, yeah,
fucked up.
It's messed. Yeah, that's messed up.
And I love this turn. Like, first we had Malie being the good guy, Bernie being the monster. Then we swapped that. Then we realized that Bernie's not actually as noble as we think he is.
Yeah, there's a lot of twists and turns going on.
Yeah, and I kind of like this, because we'll get, as we go on, I'll mention what I really like about this, but let's keep going.
But she also says that right now, like, if they don't do anything, she's going to starve to death here. And so she'll control her hunger if John can provide her with a more regular food supply. So she's kind of, I guess, bargaining for her life, really. It does seem to be like a really strong instinct to feed, and she's trying to fight it to figure a way out of it.
Yeah, because she knows that, like, if she eats these 4, that's it.
It's not sustainable.
No.
And so, meanwhile, back with Aaron and Moya's offspring, she's playing around with the controls a bit more and manages to charge the offspring's cannon just in case of an attack. And she actually says to the pilot that she and the offspring seem to have some kind of understanding.
Yeah, and I really like that, because while she's saying that, she's touching parts of the ship and almost, petting.
Yeah, a little bit, and she does have a kind of smile on her face while she's doing so, and seems to be like kind of fascinated with it and really, yeah, kind of getting into it, I guess.
And then Rigel cuts in.
Oh right, well, because we have Pilot says on the comms back to them that you'll be pleased to know that communication between Moya and her offspring is improving. But then Rigel, cuts in saying maybe you should stay on it in case of an attack.
It's good that you finally have a place where you are welcomed. I was like, fuck off.
Oh, Rigel.
Sorry.
Rigel, that's not cool.
Yeah. It's well, it's the only defense we have if it comes to it. And she's like, I will not draw this ship in a conflict not of its making.
Yeah.
She's being protective of the kid.
Again and again, treating it and respecting its rights, not to be as a sentient being.
Yeah, not to be sent out as cannon fodder.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, it's in no shit to take on a Peacekeeper command carrier.
It's a tiny baby.
Yeah.
And so then we go back again to Bunny, who is on the asteroid, who has healed Dargo. Dargo is actually totally fine now. He's like, I used to think healers were full of shit, but not anymore. You've impressed me, sir.
Yeah, I do like him like that.
I like Dargo showing a bit more character than being the gruff guy all the time.
Yeah, and he's like you said, he's sincere about this. It's like, you know what? Actually, yes, I was wrong about that. I'll care to admit that. And then John walks in.
Yeah, John turns up and is like, okay, I got to lay down some facts here, some truths.
And Bernie's quite surprised because John was supposed to take care of his plants.
Yeah, it's like, wait, what are you doing?
And John's like, oh, what? Sorry, you thought I would be calcifor food. Not meat, that wouldn't work. And he pins him to the wall and basically tells Dargo and Zan what's been happening. Yeah,
that sentient beings were being murdered for... Oh, right, he actually kind of makes a bit of a faux pas here, because he gets upset at Bernie and says, like, sentient beings were being murdered just for some stinking plants.
And sounds like oh, wow.
Excuse me?
How animalist of you.
It's like, God damn it, John.
Sorry, I didn't mean like that. What, that I'm a stinking plant?
He's like, oh, you done goofed, John. You done goofed.
I do like something that they say, because he says, like, it's not worth sacrificing sentient beings. But Zan is, like, look at what they were able to create, this immense, incredible garden. Maybe that was a price worth paying. And I'm like, no, sentient beings, that's raising this discussion. But I can understand Zan's viewpoint, and it has some merit.
Well, because they point out that she's found some wonderful, amazing plants in here that are like hugely medicinally beneficial, and And exactly, it's like, is it worth sentient life to create that? And they don't. The episode doesn't dwell on this too much, but that is like a discussion. Like that is like a little tiny thing that they have in that scene where it's like, yeah, they slaughtered a bunch of people, but is it a means to an end? But like, ends don't justify
And on the other
means,
hand,
you know.
Bernie also rightly points out she slaughtered my entire crew. Like she slaughtered everyone I brought.
Yeah, she didn't just kill out all the things she was supposed to. She just killed everyone else as well.
Yeah, I mean, which also is true. Doesn't make Millie completely innocent in this.
Yeah, neither of them are completely innocent.
Which I really like.
Yeah, it's not just a black and white kind of good guys versus bad guys story between those two.
These two are very. I mean, either they're very grey or they're both bad guys. But
But he also reveals that he has charts of the asteroid field, which can get them out of there and away from the peacekeepers. And so Zan goes off to get them with him, saying that I'll go with him. You know, a cool head in this situation is probably for the best.
yeah, that's
And
fair.
you know, to his credit, John's like, yeah, no, that's right. Probably not the best one to go do that. So now we go back to Scorpius and Crace, and we have my favourite scene between the two of them, because Crace is having his lunch, I think, on a little table in his quarters.
Okay, as we walk in, can I point something out? Why does Crace have a Hynerian head on one of his pedestals?
It's probably it's a trophy. It's got to be one of the trophies.
What the hell?
Listen, we've established peacekeepers are not nice people.
That's true.
And Scorpius had a whole bit about that he doesn't actually understand, but that some of them seem to have an obsession with trophies from their past, you know.
It just popped out at me that that's an Hynerian's head. Like, that's not some random head. That's an Hynerian head.
Yeah, but anyway, he's eating his lunch, and Scorpius throws a little chip, data chip, whatever, into his food. And it's like, there, my report on your command.
Do I need to read it?
And it's like, no, not really. You know, you'll hear it all at the hearing, because I've already sent this to Peacekeeper Command, and I will see that I'll have you personally stripped of rank and office. And he says, and Crace says, and take command of my carrier. And so I already have. And then just they have a scrap.
They fight.
Yeah.
Like at that point, Scorpius has even gone so far that he's lowered Crace's lunch and basically kicked it away.
Yeah, he's like, you are not fit for command. Get out. And then, yeah, Crace just launches himself at him, throws him up against the wall, back and forth, and he actually seems to be kind of beating him up a bit.
And then all of a sudden, Scorpius just something changes in Scorpius' face. It's just
it's
a way of looking.
Yeah,
and he grabs Crace's hands, lifts him away. He's clearly stronger at this point than Crace, and he just kicks him into, I think, a chest or something.
It's a raised. He presses a button, and like a rectangular wall effectively raises up from the ground. What I think it's supposed to be is maybe some kind of little bath, maybe.
Oh, actually that's a good one.
And he lifts Crace off him and just throws him into it, and then puts his boot on his neck, and then says, in contrast to his usual high kind of light voice, in a deep guttural like, how dare you make me display my physical superiority? Why do you make me do this? Holy
crap, Scorpius just went Super Saiyan on this ass.
It's like, I know something you don't know. I am not left-handed. He did pull that, like, you don't know my true power kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, it's really guttural voice, like, how do you No, that's not it.
It's hard to do. It's clearly done in part with some kind of filter.
Yeah,
to lower the voice, but he's not happy to have to do that.
He's fucking scary, and Scorpius is already scary.
Well, that's the thing, and he doesn't like having to show that side of him. He's like, how dare you why do you make me do this? Why do you resort to this to make me display my physical superiority? And the subtext I got from that was like, that should be irrelevant. I shouldn't have to do this. You are completely nuts. I shouldn't have to beat you up like this, but I will, because I can.
Like, seriously, I'm not gonna let you choke me out.
No, but you've taken things way beyond what they needed to be. And Scorpius, from what we've seen in contrast to Krace, at least a little bit, Scorpius doesn't really seem to have much of an ego.
No.
It's all about the mission and what he's supposed to do. And so he doesn't want to necessarily be seen as stronger than Krace. He doesn't care about that.
No,
he's like,
he cares
we just
about
need to
doing his job.
Yeah, get the job done. And so he's angry that he has to be made to show this superiority. I love that detail about Scorpius, because as a bad guy with no ego is not something you see very often.
No, and it makes him even creepier, because you can't goad Scorpius into an attack.
Exactly.
You can't guarantee that his ego will make him make sure he makes mistakes.
Exactly.
He won't make mistakes. He'll be methodical.
That's part of why I love Scorpius so much, in that he's not like... He has the look of kind of like an evil kind of like a Skeletor kind of thing, but with none of the hang-ups of it. Like, he's actually a cold, calculating bad guy. Even in the few episodes we've seen him already, and...
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to more of Scorpius. And believe me, there's going to be more of Scorpius.
Yes. Especially if he takes over that command carrier, which he's apparently already done.
Yep. He's taken command. So we go back to John, who's at the lab, and he finds that Bernie's been injured.
Yeah, because John's like, what's taking so long?
Yeah, and he says that Malie took Zan. And then John goes after her, and he's like, wait, I'm an idiot.
He makes it all the way to where Bernie says Zan's supposed to be, the feeding ground of Malie.
Yeah.
And he comes there, and he's just like, where are you, Malie? You're lying! And he sees one of the corpses that Malie left, and he's like, oh, I'm an idiot!
Because Zan is a plant. She doesn't have bones. A couple of times in this shot, in that scene where he's like, oh, I'm so dumb, he actually says, bones. And for a split second, I'm like, is he gonna... It's almost going into a Star Trek thing. He's almost doing it, bones. It's close enough that he almost says it like Kirk.
Oh, nice. But he rushes back to Bernie, and Bernie's there, and he's like, "Oh, you've healed quite well. Yes, I've used some herbs to quicken the healing process."
And he's
and
like,
John's like, did you kill Malie?
He's like, no. And that's when he says, I'm a little slow on the uptake, but Zan doesn't have any bones. So Malie wouldn't have taken her.
She wouldn't have even eaten her.
Yeah. And so wait, and John is actually looking through Bernie's stuff at this point, and he's like, so where is she? And he's like, arr. And John finds that she's been miniaturized.
It's a Zan action figure, and it's still in the bottle.
It's still in box, mint in box. But
mint in bottle.
Then John ruins it because he takes it out of the bottle.
Damn it!
That's gonna take the sale value right down. You're not gonna get as much for that on eBay now.
Damn it, John! Damn it! Again, I love this turn that he's going. She's a plant, and Bernie now is the bad guy because he's trying to take her along with him. Because
he's fascinated, and they've heard stories about Delvians, but they never met one, and he's like, now I have one, and now I can study it, and it's like, that's a sentient being. It's just,
she has a name.
Yeah, that's what John says. So they have a fight, but John manages to activate the machine to deminiaturize Zan.
Yeah, and I do like that at this point, Bernie has him under shot with his pistol, and he's like, I'll shoot you if you keep going through the process, and John's like, I very much doubt it, because I took the shotgun oil cartridge out.
Yep, the old, not without the ammo clip you won't.
Yep.
Not without the clipazines. And so, restarts the thing, and it starts building Zan back up, and actually, in the fight, Bernie gets thrown in front of the laser that's doing that, and just gets sliced in half.
Yeah.
Just zoop. And then Zan gets rebuilt.
Yeah, I really hope that doesn't have any effects on her, because
she seemed fine.
Can't be good.
I was thinking that maybe it would, but she apparently seems to be her old self.
She doesn't have any fungus growing out of her ear, so we're probably fine.
You're probably okay, yeah. And then
That would have been nice. Zahn comes back, but only there's now two mushrooms in her eyes, in her ears.
Oh no, no.
Like a pair of headphones.
That would be so bad. I'm so glad they didn't do that. Oh dear.
Hilarious.
But so John and Zan are about to leave, and then that's when Melee reappears, and she says she'll die of starvation.
But she actually went to Dargo beforehand.
Right.
And Dargo had her under shot, and she used all the last calcium she had to at least revert to her more passive form to restrain herself so Dargo wouldn't shoot her on sight.
Yeah.
And this is the scene I really like, because she's clearly in agony over this, over not having any food, and she's holding back the urges, and basically she's keeping back the beast inside, because she doesn't want to basically ruin the food supply and get nothing else, and also I think she doesn't want to hurt them in a way.
Well, I think the major thing is that she knows that the 4 other people there, 3 not counting Zan because she doesn't have any bones, but that's not sustainable.
No, that's also a very clear part.
And so she's like, I need a sustainable source of food, otherwise I'll eat the 3 of you, but then I'll die after that.
Yeah, and I do like that Dargo's like, well, there's about 1,000 people up there in a big ship who probably won't be missed.
It's like, you know what? Yeah, just feed the peacekeepers to her. Seems good.
Yeah, seems like not solving 2 problems at once. So that's what Melee talks about, because Dargo figures that once they launch off this thing,
they'll be detected.
Yeah, they'll easily be detected, because I guess the engine's shot enough that it's just going to leave a big trail or something.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, from the damage they had earlier on.
That's what I'm taking, or they're like, we'll send up a flare.
Well, yeah, we'll lure them in here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so she really holds back as she's with Zahn and John, and she's like, but I really need to eat something.
And it's like, well, conveniently, this guy has been cut up into bite-sized pieces by his own laser.
And I do like that she rushes towards him. We don't see that off screen. We were like reared,
horrible. Eating. Just like, like, oh god,
If you see John and Sam responding,
just like,
I do find it interesting that Zahn says there's a lot of cruelty in the universe. I'm like, this is nature, Zahn. I don't consider nature to be cruel. It's incapable of it.
Well, but I do also like that. It's like John's like, yeah, and it seems. I forget the exact line, but it's
and it seems like we have a treasure map towards it.
Yeah, we have a treasure map to it. Yeah, they do seem to find a lot of it. So, but then they get out of there. They get out of Dodge. So they get back onto the transport pod and just book it. Just leave. Bring the peacekeepers here. Then it's not our problem anymore.
Yeah. We have the charts. Let's go.
Yeah. So they're back on Moya. The charts let them out of there, and so they're on their way out.
So many minor scenes in this last shot, second to last shot.
So there's also a scene in here where we go back to see Crace.
Sitting at his desk.
Yeah, at his desk, and underling, or his second in command now, I guess, after he killed the previous one, is asking him, it's like, is it true, has Scorpius taken over, and it's like, what should we do? What are your orders, sir? And Crace isn't saying anything.
And his second in command is being very insistent. What are your orders, sir? Like, give me a goddamn answer.
It's like, yeah, I'm waiting for it. And then he just says, really defeatedly, he's like, do what Scorpius tells you to do.
Yes, and he, head in his hands, just do whatever he says.
Yeah. So he's broken, he's defeated, he's lost control of his command carrier, and yep, you're off the mission, you're off the case, man. Turn in your badge.
Almost.
Well, he's had everything stripped away from him, but it's, I mean, again, it's for a good reason, because he's done a piss poor job of his actual mission.
Yeah, I mean, I was on board with him, like, until he snapped the neck of his own second in command. That was like, okay, he's crossed a lot of lines, but
yeah,
that's where his sympathy ended.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But even so, it's like seeing him broken like that. That does hurt my heart a little bit.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of. Yeah, it is kind of a bad thing.
In a way, this is where Krace's arc ends. Completely broken. He's lost everything.
Yeah.
His brother, his command, any hope of a future, really.
Yeah, and was it worth it? Did he get what he wanted?
No.
No. So yeah, now everything's under Scorpius's control. He's taking the reins.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Shit.
So, oh yeah, we're in a lot of trouble now.
I know.
So back on Moya, the charts are, they've got the charts from Bernie they took from his lab, and they can now exit the asteroid field and just get out of there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of nice little scenes in this one because we first have John and Aaron talking, because John asks Aaron like, "Oh, how was it in that ship?" And she's like, "It was incredible." She's really impressed by the baby Leviathan. And then as they are talking, their sound fades off, and the sound of Zahn and Dargo talking fades in, who are standing next a little ways away. And she's talking about she wishes she could come back here, and Dargo's like, "Well, someday when you're not being chased by insane peacekeepers, maybe you can." He's like, "No, you and I both know that that's not possible." But then Dargo says something I really like, because he's like, "Well, somebody else will stumble upon it, and they'll be able to use the medicines and such that can be found here. So in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter."
And then Zan has a great line, which is, she says to Dargo, it's like, "Oh, when did our roles become reversed? When and
when you needed it to."
Yeah, because he's comforting her and offering, sage advice, which has been her job typically.
Yeah.
And there's also Chiana and Rigel, because they're still cold. They've still got the blankets on because they've turned the power right down. Chiana has her blanket around and says, "If your hand is still there in a micron, I'm gonna
rip it off."
Rip it off. And she opens up, and it turns out Rigel was huddling under there as well.
Yeah, they've decided to share heat. How come those two keep ending up in
I don't know,
close next to each other? Weird.
Don't worry about it. But yeah, Pilot is actually thanking Aaron and saying that thank you, because thanks to what you've done, Moya and the Offspring are now getting along really well. And
Aaron's like, "Well, no, I just did what was right for the ship."
And Pilot reveals like, "Well, the ship would like Aaron to name her child."
Yeah, and Aaron's face.
I swear, like, I have to look. I swear she's crying at that, like tearing up a bit.
She's complete. It's pure joy, but also the teary eyes of like
happiness.
Yeah, it's such a good. If you can find that shot, actually, if you can find that scene, I highly recommend it, because Claudia Black's acting in that is just impeccable.
Yeah,
she gets the exact emotion across with her face, like double emotion in it.
Oh yeah, and that's a really sweet thing. And we don't have a name yet. We just know that Aaron gets to name the child. But we don't find out what that is in this episode, because we then cut to the Peacekeepers and Scorpius, who have landed on the asteroid and are walking around investigating the lab, and have found Melee. And the other Peacekeepers are like grabbing her, restraining her, and Scorpius says like, "We must, know when to show compassion as well," and takes her and hugs her and says, and we must also know when to give of ourselves. And that's where it ends.
I'm really curious if Scorpion knows what he's getting himself into, because I really hope he doesn't.
I'm wondering if he does. It's hard to tell at the end, but my suspicion is he does know, and he's going to feed his men to Melee to keep her alive, to get the information from her about the Moya's crew who
maybe even drag her to a Gamma base, experiment on her.
Yeah, also that, exactly.
That's why when he said "give of ourselves," I'm like, that can mean two different things. But I'm really hoping she just manages to crawl into the air vents of the command carrier and wreak havoc on that ship for a while.
No, you see, Scorpius is kind of he's too smart for that. That's the problem.
Yeah, probably.
I think that's like it's not explicit, but the impression he knows he's going to feed a bunch of his men to her just to get the information.
That's the subtext I read in it. At least.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that's what we end on. Oh, what a note to end on. Hey.
Okay. First thing that I have to ask: where's Stark?
Yeah, I think he's still on the Gamma base. Oh no, wait, no, they took him off the Gamma base.
They took him along with them.
Maybe
we know he's on Moya, but we don't see him the entire episode.
I
know you see Jillina's corpse. That makes sense, but that would have been awkward. Just the dinner table.
Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, where was he?
There against the wall. It's like,
does he turn up? I hope he turns up in the next episode and they didn't just forget about him.
Like,
who knows?
I came out of the blue like, Stark's around here somewhere. He should be around here somewhere. It's not like they had a pit stop to drop him off.
Yeah, good question. I hope that gets addressed in the future, I guess. By rights, he should still be there. Oh well.
Yeah, he should be freezing.
He should
like
be,
the rest of them.
Yeah, he should have been freezing his butt off somewhere.
Yeah.
But, alright, so, aside from that, what do we think of the episode then? Because
I really like it.
I did like it. I did enjoy it. I think, for me, there was a little bit too much going on. In that you had 3 separate lines. You had the asteroid, you had Krace and Scorpius, and you had Eren and Offspring. And I think a few times that got a little bit tough to follow. Particularly
I experience it like that, actually, because what I sorry, actually, you finish your thought.
But particularly because there were so many twists and turns in the story with Bernie and Malie, because like you've already got 3 different things to follow, and in one of those you've got about 3 different twists. So I think it might have just been a factor of when I watched it, but I was just like, wait, what? It was a little bit tough to follow for me, anyway.
I really like this episode because it has one of my favorite scene transition systems.
Yeah.
Writing wise, which is therefore but. Right. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Well, let's explain.
The most clear description of it I've ever seen was from Trey Parker and Matt Stone, from the makers of South Park, who say whenever you have story beats, you need to be able to put therefore or but between them.
Right.
So otherwise, if you have plot lines that go, this happens, then this happens, then this happens, and then this happens.
Right.
Then you're screwed.
There isn't a reason for anything. It's just
no. But if you have this happens, therefore this happens, but this happens, therefore this happens, therefore this happens, but this happens, therefore this happens.
Yeah.
And I really like because this, especially the line with on the planet, on the asteroid. Yeah. Very neatly follows that.
I'll be honest, like, actually talking about and discussing the episode has made me appreciate it more, because now we can sit down and unpack what was been going on. I think it's probably a function of the state of mind I was in when I was watching it. So, yeah, actually discussing it does make me realize that, okay, no, right, I see that. That all does actually flow kind of neatly, and that's all.
Because that's what I really liked about it, because you have... and the 3 lines that walk through this, and the 3 you mentioned, they do interconnect. They are related to each other. They're trying to turn down the ship because up there, there's a bunch of peacekeepers trying to scan for them who are also having their own disagreements, which is also the reason they're still scanning and haven't switched to a better tactic. And the reason they're down there on the asteroid is because they need the charts to escape from the peacekeeper ship. So I do like that the 3 lines aren't as completely separate as last week.
Okay. It's just, for me, it felt a little bit like, while watching it, that the bit on the asteroid was a standalone episode that was happening in the middle of an episode that was contained in the wider arc of the series. If that makes sense. But they did...
I understand what you mean.
Yeah. But now that we've actually sat down and talked about it, I think I can appreciate it a bit more, so...
Yeah, because I do believe that things are interlocked better.
Yeah, although this does kind of stand out from the previous episodes as having something extra added to it beyond the plot of, Krace and the peacekeepers and Scorpius and...
True, but I do like that we get an episode to breathe. to put that a little bit to the background and actually have the characters have their dynamic in a new situation again.
Okay. All right, that's fair. So yeah, I think the standout parts is, I mean, my favorite part of the episode was just Krace versus Scorpius. Like particularly that
was great.
Yeah, and that fight reveals quite a lot about both of them, in that Krace is just unhinged and he's kind of snapped because everything's been taken from him. But
I really like his defeated look at the end. That's way more important because we already know he's a nutcase.
Oh yeah,
we've known that since that old Yale Black Magic.
Yeah, but this is actually kind of the first time he's displayed it to the rest of the Peacekeepers. So he's actually facing consequences for that in the form of Scorpius, who is just the complete opposite, who is cold and logical and committed to the mission, and can also kick his ass both ways until up and down the command carrier, but doesn't want to have to. It's like you should resign, or you should have your command stripped away because of these reasons, not because I can beat you up.
Yeah.
But Scorpius is like, well, if you're going to try and beat me up, then I'll beat you up.
Yeah, then I have to defend myself. But okay,
like,
fine.
Why do you make me do this? He's really disappointed in Krace. Like,
the only thing that was missing there is while he was choking Krace out with his foot, he should have been saying, "This hurts me more than it hurts you."
That's not the kind of thing that Scorpius does, though.
No, I know.
Other than that, like the costume work with Millie,
amazing.
Bernie was a little bit less, like he looked a little bit more like they threw a bunch of greenery on top of a large, set of prosthetics. Yeah.
I can accept that because Millie's costume is so amazing.
Oh, I mean, all I'm saying is that his costume was fine, but it's not what stands out to me.
Nope.
And now we know that Zan is a plant.
Finally, we don't have to edit that out anymore.
Yay! I don't have to worry about that. Hooray! But yeah, I all right. Let's get down. What do you rate this episode?
I think I'm going to throw a 5 in here.
Oh, I would probably go less than that. I would say a 4. Before we talked about this, honestly, before we actually unpacked this episode, and it probably would benefit from me watching it again, but just initially the first time I was like, I would probably have given it a 3 because I was not properly following and kind of getting mixed up with all the stuff that was going on. But now that we've sat down and discussed it, actually I can appreciate it more.
I really liked it because I had to watch it twice in one day because of my own scheduling mistakes.
Yeah,
and it's very propulsive. It really just takes you through it.
Yeah.
There's no moment of lag. It's scene after scene after scene, and each scene has a function in the story.
All right. Well, okay. I'm going to stick with a 4 though, just because. I mean, I don't know. 4's it's getting there.
I can see why.
Yeah. It just felt a little bit more. It felt, even though they weren't totally disconnected, it did feel a little disconnected to me. So I'm going to give it a 4.
I'll stick with my 5. We've disagreed before.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's totally fine. We're not going to get into a fight about it.
Nope.
Nope. Definitely not.
Meet you out back to podcast in 5.
Fight me IRL. All right, but yeah, that's episode 21. We enjoyed it. That was good, and we're wrapping up though. That's the thing. It's like this is the penultimate episode of the season.
Next week
is the end. That's season 1 over. Family Ties is the episode name, episode 22. So we'll be talking about that next week, and look out for something special after that, when we'll be wrapping up the season as a whole and letting you know what we think about that. More info on that next week when we record Family Ties. But
also, a heads up, we will be taking a few weeks off after the finale episode.
Yeah, there'll be a break in between season 1 and season 2, but it won't be too long, just to give us some time to, maybe make some improvements.
A few weeks, max.
Yeah, a couple of weeks max, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, you can find us on social media. I'm at Can't Wear Hats on Twitter, and Red is at Vidalkin in Tree.
Yes.
And at time of recording, by the time this goes up, everything should be up there. But we also have an archive of the podcast now on can'twearhats.co.uk.
Yes, audio podcasts,
Hooray.
RSS feed, iTunes to come if we can figure that out.
All you need is an RSS feed and start a sale buy. That's how that works. I think.
No. It's all you need is an RSS feed and a handle long enough to turn it.
That's the fulcrum. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. It can't be that hard.
No.
So yeah, you can now subscribe to the RSS feed on can'twearhats.co.uk. Go there and you'll find things tagged under the category of Farscape Rewatch podcasts, and we'll be putting them up there going forward, of course, along with the archive there. They will still go up on YouTube if you prefer to get them that way. Just, that's up to you, however best you want to do it. And of course, all of this is brought to you by the Can't Wear Hats Patreon. There's patreon.com/can'twearhats. So thank you to everyone who's made this possible, and we're almost done with season 1. Yeah.
Ooh.
We're getting there.
Almost quarter way through.
Oh, yep. Still almost another year of this to go.
Yep.
But we thank you all for listening so far, and thank you for listening to this episode, and we hope you enjoyed it, and we hope to see you again next week. And until then, goodbye!
Goodbye!
Alright, so Wait, since when could you turn invisible? Oh my god, this is amazing! This is incredible!
Oh, sorry, I was just making a sandwich. Sorry, you were saying?
Never mind.